What landmark cases overturned major legal precedents? Imagine a world where the rules change because of a court decision. That's what landmark cases do. They reshape how laws are understood and applied. Today, we're looking at some of these big moments in legal history. These cases didn't just settle disputes, they overturned old rulings and set new directions for the law. When courts decide to overturn a precedent, it often involves the highest court, the Supreme Court. This process is part of how the legal system keeps evolving. It shows that even long-standing decisions can be reconsidered when society's values shift or mistakes are recognized. One of the most famous cases is Brown versus the Board of Education from 1954. It overturned the separate but equal rule established by Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896. The Supreme Court ruled that separating children in public schools because of race was unconstitutional. This decision was a huge step toward ending racial segregation in America. It changed how schools and communities operated and helped push forward civil rights. Another important case is West Coast Hotel versus Parrish from 1937. Before this, the court had struck down many economic laws during the Lochner era. In this case, the court upheld a minimum wage law for women. It marked a shift toward allowing the government to regulate the economy more actively. This decision helped shape labor laws and workers' rights. In 1966, Miranda versus Arizona changed police procedures forever. Before this case, suspects weren't always told their rights. The court ruled that police must inform suspects of their rights before questioning. These rights include the right to remain silent and the right to have a lawyer present. Today, we call these the Miranda rights, and they are a standard part of police work. Roe versus Wade from 1973 is another landmark. It established a woman's right to have an abortion under the Constitution. Later, Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1990 reaffirmed this but allowed states to place some limits. However, in 2022, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization overturned Roe and Casey. It returned the power to regulate abortion to individual states, ending nearly 50 years of federal protection. Korematsu versus United States from 1944 is a darker chapter. It upheld the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. For decades, this ruling was accepted, but it was widely criticized. In 2018, Trump versus Hawaii explicitly overruled Korematsu, rejecting the reasoning behind the internment. It was a formal acknowledgement that the decision was wrong. Lastly, Exxon versus Central Gulf Lines from 1991 overturned a very old precedent from 1855. It showed that even ancient rulings can be changed if new legal arguments or facts come to light. This flexibility is part of how the legal system stays alive and relevant. When courts overturn precedents, it often happens during appeals. Cases start in lower courts and can be taken to higher courts for review. The Supreme Court then decides if the old rule still makes sense or needs changing. These decisions can impact courtroom procedures, laws, and individual rights. They reminded us that the law is not fixed but can adapt as society changes. Understanding these landmark cases helps us see how the legal system balances tradition with progress.